welcome to Chasing Glory. Speed, not speed round. Montel Von Tedious order.
Speed.
Yeah, speed, not speed. By the way, want to let you know, I loved always introducing you and having to say the full name, Montel Von Tedious Porter, MVP. So much fun. Okay, favorite junk food?
Pizza.
Pizza. Always.
Go-to. Yeah, pizza. I can go pizza. Even bad pizza is good pizza.
Even cold pizza. All right, if you could travel back in time, what period would you go back to?
It's funny, you ever hear the comedians talk about being a person of color going back in time?
No.
Like, being a white person, you can go back in time to any period of time and you're fine. But if you're a person of color, like, there's certain places and periods of time you probably don't want to go to.
True. Wow.
So I'll go back to the 80s.
80s. I think that. Never thought of it like that. See? I like asking these questions. Wow. Okay, who is your favorite superhero and why?
My favorite superhero isn't a superhero, and that's why he's my favorite. The Punisher.
The Punisher.
The Punisher is my favorite, and it's the Punisher and Spider-Man, and it's weird because the Punisher came from Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
And the Punisher has no superpowers. He's a combat veteran whose family was killed in a crossfire from a drug deal gone bad with organized crime. And his whole life has been dedicated to wiping out organized crime. Mm-hmm. So he's a horrible person, but his motivation is in the right place.
Yeah, the mission.
There's no judge. He is the judge, jury, and execution. But his motivations come from the right place. But he doesn't have superpowers. He can't fly. He's really tough, really smart, has lots of guns, and he's a badass. And Spider-Man was, as a little kid, Spider-Man was my dude, and it's so cool now that my son also loves Spider-Man.
Aww.
And like I said, Punisher came from Spider-Man comics, and I guess I like Spider-Man because he had problems. He had superpowers, but he had problems. He had financial problems, he had girl problems,
right.
He had issues, so he was relatable in that level. And he had conflict where, I remember one particular comic book, he was trying to find out some information and he was having a hard time, and he was like, man, the Punisher would have just broken some fingers by now and he'd have the information, but Spider-Man doesn't operate like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Spider-Man and Punisher.
And if you did have a superpower, what would it be?
Maybe invisibility.
Yeah. You can get away with a lot being invisible, that's for sure.
Well, you find out a lot too.
Yeah, fly on the wall. And sometimes it's good to be a fly on the wall, and sometimes not so much.
Sometimes not so much.
Yeah. All right, is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Never, under any circumstances whatsoever.
And especially during COVID.
Yeah, ever. Double dipping, no. I don't eat peanuts at a bar.
Really?
No,
yeah, that's true.
People,
I always ask.
Even before
fresh.
this, can I have a separate thing straight from just
True.
community peanuts? People are sticking their hands in there and taking their nose, and no.
Blah. All right, your first celebrity crush?
Oh, my first. Let me think back, because we're going back to the '70s. Because I was a pretty precocious kid, and I'm trying to think. Oh, it was my first celebrity. Probably Charlie's Angels. I think because I remember liking
Which
that show.
one?
I think I liked them all, man. Because if I'm thinking my first, I remember being
it wasn't Jacqueline Smith. She was the first.
Jacqueline Smith, Farrah Fawcett, and Kate Jackson.
That's right.
And I remember as a kid, Farrah Fawcett was the poster on the wall that everybody. And I definitely had a thing for Farrah Fawcett, but I also had a thing for Jacqueline Smith because she was so beautiful and she was She's
maintained.
Oh, she's aged very well. Yeah. And then Kate Jackson was a smart one. True. She was so smart. She was, but she was attractive, but she was smart. And I remember how she would take China as a little kid. I used to think, and just my 4-year-old brain thinking, she's not as pretty as the other two, but she fights and she's smarter. And then my mind processing that. Even then, I was turned on by an intelligent, strong woman, and maybe it was my mother's influence, but I didn't even know. So, I think collectively it was Charlie's Angels.
That's hot. Video games or movies?
Video games or movies? At this stage of my life, movies.
Movies, but at once it was video games?
You know, I've never been like a big gamer, you know, as what it's become.
Yeah.
And part of that is because I become obsessive. And I remember in the past, I've had games where I'm gonna play this until I beat it, and it would take so much of my time. I'm supposed to go work out, but I gotta play this. So I got something else, so I'm not the gamer that I used to be. I still play little games here and there, but movies for sure.
What is it about movies that draw you?
Everyone likes a good story, right?
Yeah.
I like stories.
Yeah. Name one of the 7 dwarfs.
What's the one I like? Dopey.
Dopey. Oh my God.
Dopey's
It was funny because everyone says sleepy.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, just now I was like, he's going to say dopey.
Dopey. I felt it.
I felt it. All right. The Godfather or Scarface?
Scarface all day long.
Yeah.
I'm from Miami. Tony Montana. Yeah,
True.
That's my thing.
Say hello to my little friend.
The worst Cuban accent of all time.
And I'm
I love
Latina.
Al Pacino. He's awesome, man. But that was the worst Cuban accent ever.
You're right. You're right.
Terrible
So
Cuban
awful.
accent. Yeah.
But he still sold it. We still loved it. It was amazing. All right. And finally, what is the one thing that you would put on your bucket list that you still have not done?
The one thing I would put on my bucket list that I still have not done. I have always been a fan since I was a teenager. I got turned on to hardcore music, punk, New York hardcore, Agnostic Front, Bad Brains.
Wow, never saw that in you. Okay.
Most people go, really?
Yeah,
you like
exactly.
that? Or when I'm at concerts, they go, MVP, what are you doing here? You know,
Wow.
I had a friend that I worked with when I was in high school, and the guy that I was telling you about, we would go to the club after work.
Yeah.
Wes.
Yeah.
Wesley Mitnick, if you're out there, find me. And he was into the skinhead hardcore scene, and I thought all skinheads were racist. I didn't know that there were different types, and he taught me about that whole culture. And riding in his car was his music, and that was the rule, because I used to pay him money to drop me off from school, drop me off after work, because the buses weren't running.
Yeah.
And I got turned on to New York hardcore and punk, and listening to this music that was just so angry, and I couldn't understand it. But then after riding for a little while, before I knew it, I'm tapping my foot along, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know this one, yeah, and I'm just, and then what really did it for me, he gave me a cassette tape, and on one side was a group called Bad Brains, and the album was Eye Against Eye. Bad Brains is a legendary American punk band. They're dreadlock Rastas from DC.
Okay.
So their albums will have lightning speed, breakneck hardcore, and then the next song will be 4/4 dub reggae Rasta.
Whoa, I gotta listen to this.
Check out Bad Brains. They're
Okay.
legendary. Your favorite rocker loves Bad Brains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're influential in that way. And then on the other side of that tape was Uplift Mofo Party Plan, and a group called the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, yeah.
This
of
is
course.
in '87.
Okay.
Nobody knew what a Red Hot Chili Pepper was
Right.
in '87. But I put in the cassette tape, and I'm hearing this, what was then could only be described as funk punk.
Yeah.
And then Bad Brains with this hardcore reggae, and
Right.
that opened the door. And then I'm listening to Agnostic Front and Black Flag and the MDC and all these other groups. And I never gave up my love for hip hop, but I gained a new love. And before it became a thing, I went to prison. But I had this idea, what if we combine this music and hip hop? Because hardcore was kind of like white people's hip hop.
Right,
Comes from the same elements.
Right.
Never got a chance to do it because I was locked up. But I always wanted to front my own hardcore band. Something I've always wanted to do. I've talked about it in the past, and I've talked to a couple of guys about putting one together, and it just hasn't come to fruition yet. But it will.
That's on the bucket list.
It's on my bucket list. Before it's all said and done, just like going to Japan and hearing, oh, before it's all said and done, I would like to step on stage, wrap the microphone cord around my hand like Henry Rollins, hold that mic,
Dude, yes.
perform my songs. Because I've done hip hop. I've got hip hop music that's out there, songs that I've done. And if you feel so inclined. go to, what is it? Bandcamp. I've got
Okay.
some songs. And I've performed my hip hop songs, and I've done that before. But hardcore is different, and it's a different labor of love. So that is on my bucket list.
I love it. Never in a million years did I think you were going to say that, but I love it. As a musician, I love it even more. That's awesome. All right, I can't wait. I want front row seats.
There are seats. You gotta,
or standing in the front row. Yeah, I want to be in the mosh pit, but in the front. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Speed, Not Speed Round.